Hey, what's up guys, it's Theo from Final Concept. So today I'm going to create this business style of design in Adobe Photoshop. You can apply this to most, especially sales or anytime you have some form of promotion for your product. So let's just get started. Welcome to Final Concept. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Alright, so let's go ahead and open up our application. For this tutorial, I'm using Adobe Photoshop CC 2019 and I'll go ahead and create a new document. Now I'm going to set my width and height to that of an A4, so I'll go into print and click on A4 and click on OK. Now if you are going ahead to print this up, make sure that you are set to the CMYK color, but since I'm not, I'll just leave it at RGB. Most of the stuff I'm going to be doing will be just for screens. So the first thing to do is actually bring up the rulers. So I'll hold down the Control key and I'll press R to bring up the rulers, and I'll click and drag and drop this to the center, and it snaps in like so. The most important thing is going to be the main text, which is going to be super big and up here. So in order to create that, I'll just go into the shapes tool and grab the ellipse tool, which is right here. You know what, let's grab the zoom tool first and zoom out a bit, because what we are going to create is going to be super big. So I'll go back to grab the ellipse tool. You can just right click to change whichever tool you want to select, and I'll click and drag whilst holding down the shift key so that I get a perfect circle. So I think something about this big is cool, and I'll just push it over to the top like so, making sure it is also centered over here. So I think this isn't looking as smooth as I want. It's too inclined, so what I'll do is I'll keep on stretching it out until I'm satisfied, still holding down the shift key. So yeah, I think something like this is cool. Now you can see that the angle is a little bit smaller and I prefer this one. So let's click on OK up here, and now we can use the zoom tool to fit the screen. The short key is Z, by the way. So once we have this, I'm also going to create a couple of shapes. You know what, let's click on this icon which is down here, the second icon from the right. That is going to create a group for us, and I'm going to put all of these in there, and I'll call it shapes. Let's call it shapes for main text. Alright, so the next thing is to create a polygon. So to create a polygon, I'll go back to the shapes tool, click on polygon tool, and I'll select the size about 6. So 6 is going to give us a hexagon, and I'll click on it just once. So probably the width and height be the same. Smooth corners, no, I don't want smooth corners, and I don't want it to be a star, so I just click on OK. So I have something like this. Now let's bring this up here. You know what, I want to see the difference, so I'll double click on this thumbnail right here. Since it's a polygon or a shape, I can just double click on a thumbnail and go ahead and change the color. So I'll select probably a red color and click on OK. Then I can go ahead and manipulate this to the way I want. Now notice I'm not holding down the shift key so that I don't get a perfect aspect ratio. I just want to be able to change it as and when I see fit. Now I actually want the pointed edges to be on the bottom, so I'll bring my mouse cursor over to the side, and you notice that it turns into this rotational arrow. Let me just call it that. I think that's the name actually, and I'll rotate it about 90 degrees. Now if you are not getting the perfect angle here, just go up here and be able to change the angle to 90 like so. Then I'll comment OK. But obviously I don't want this to be in this form, so I'll keep reducing the size to I think something like this looks cool. Yeah, this looks cool. But I also don't want it to be like this. This is too uniform. So what I want to do is I want to incline this edge over a little. So I'll hold down the Control key, and you notice that once I do, the cursor changes to this. So that is what I'm looking for, and I can just click and drag to the top like so whilst holding down the Control and the Shift key. The Shift key prevents it from being disaligned, so it's going to move at that 90 degrees angle. So once I have this, I think this is looking cool. There's a couple of other shapes I want to add in. So the next one is going to be a rectangle, so I'll be using the rectangle tool, and I'll create a rectangle like so. I think this is looking cool. Also, let's change the color. We'll be actually manipulating the colors later on, but let's just work with this. And I'll also place that probably at the center of the polygon, probably. And also try, you know what, let me zoom in just a little bit. Also try to align it or raise it up just like what we did just now. So holding down the control and shift key, I'll just move this upwards like so. Let me bring it here. Let's see. I think something like this is okay. So let's fit it to screen and see. Okay, this is looking cool. Now I want to add in one last feature that is going to be here, so that it appears as though the rectangle is from the polygon, or it has some form of transparency from the polygon. I don't know if I'm explaining this the way I have it in mind, but let's just go ahead and create it. So for that, I'll just be creating another polygon. This time around is going to be a triangle, so I'll set the size to 3 and I'll just click on it just once and click on OK. Now let me go back. This is looking quite huge, so let's reduce the size to something like this. Now this is what I want to do. I actually want this to be a darker color, so double click and make it a darker blue, and I'll have it beneath the, I should have it beneath the polygon, I mean the hexagon. You know what, let me just call it the hexagon so that we know that that is the 6-sided, and this is the rectangle. It's already named as rectangle, I shouldn't even change it. And this one is going to be the triangle, and then the circle. All right, so what I want to do is for the triangle, I want to actually make it seem like it is from the other end. So now that I have something like this, I can just right click. Now make sure your transforms options are active, of course, using Ctrl T. Once they are active, you see these options appear. I usually look out for these 3 things: the warp, the cancel, and the OK. So once I have them, I know that I am in the transform options. So just right click and go to flip horizontal. Now once you do that, I can just play along this, and also using the control, I can just play along this and make it seem as though the blue color is fading from the back. Okay, so this is what I want. Let me go ahead and save this up before something happens. Let's call it, I have no idea. I should probably always think about this before. I always have a problem naming them afterwards. Okay, I think this is cool. So we can actually start with the whole design now that we have all of these. Or we can add in the rest. I think probably we should add in the rest, then we can start adding in the text and all of that. So I created a new group also using the second icon from the right, and I will call this shapes for images. And once I have that, I'm just going to be using the ellipse tool. So I have 3 circles because I think circles look nicer, and I'll just click and drag whilst holding down the shift key so that I have a perfect aspect ratio. I don't want this gray color, so let's go ahead and change it. I'll be changing all the colors later on, but for now I just want to see how the design is going to look so that I know where to place all of my stuff. So I think I'll place this somewhere here, and I'll actually create a duplicate. So Ctrl J will create a duplicate, and if you look over here, you see that it creates a duplicate like so, and I can just move this also to the other side or the right hand side using the move tool and holding down the shift key so that it is horizontal. And I can also create another duplicate. Instead of using Ctrl J, I can just click and drag and drop onto the second icon. I've been calling this the second icon. It's actually the third for the group. So I'll also put that on the left hand side. And to prevent myself from being confused, I always try to name it. So this is going to be left, this is going to be center, and this is going to be right. I try to do this all the time so that I don't confuse myself. So I think, yeah, I think this is looking cool. Now we can actually start with the design. I might add in another one. You know what, let's just add it in now. So shape for bottom, because we'll be having some bottom text. And for that, I'll just be using the rectangle tool. Again, just create a rectangle like this. The size doesn't really matter because you can always use the move tool, which is the first tool up here, and resize it to whatever we feel comfortable with. So I think something like this is okay. All right, so the colors I'll be going with, as you have already seen in the beginning of this video, is purple and somewhat pink. So let's start changing the colors. So I'll start with these ones. I'll start with the shapes for the main text. So the circle, I actually don't have a purple color code in mind, so I'll just go with my intuition. So let's just pick this color. I think this one looks cool for me. Yeah, I'll go with this 8B1B82, and I'll just click on OK. Then I'll move into the triangle. I don't want a blue color, I actually want a dark purple. Or probably, I think the blue looks cool. You know what, let's use the blue. So I'll go into the hexagon. The hexagon, I actually want it to be white, and I'll click on OK. Then the rectangle, I don't want it to be one simple color like this blue color over here. I actually want it to be one color fading into the other. So to do that, once the the layer is still active, I'll go into the second icon from the left, that is FX or effect, and I'll go into gradient overlay. So gradient, one color fading into another. Then I'll select the gradient option right here. Now you know you are in the gradient overlay options when you see the name here and you see it is checked over here. So I'll go into the gradient, click on this gradient option right here, and I'll select the first preset, which is foreground to background, and click on OK. What this means is it's just the foreground color changing to the background color, which are the colors over here. So if they were blue and pink, it's going to be blue and pink also here. I'm going to set the opacity to 100% because I want it to cover up the entire shape. Then I'm going to actually click on it one more time and change the colors. So now you see we have gray and black. I'm actually going to change the colors using these two stops at the bottom. So for the first one, which is a gray, I'm going with a blue color. No, that blue is actually going to fade. Sorry, that blue is actually going to make this one invisible. So I'd rather go with a purple color for that side and make it a darker purple. I think this is okay. Then I'll go into the second stop or the end of the colors, select that, and that one is actually going to be the blue one. So I think this is looking cool, and I'll just click on OK. And should I click on OK? Yeah, click on OK. Now I can go ahead and play with the gradient by just clicking and dragging. You can see that this is how intense I want one color to fade into the other. Very simple. And I'll just click on OK. So I think something like this is cool for me. Now once we have this, I think this is good for shapes for main image. Now let's move to shapes for images. I'm just going to be using the exact same colors from here. It doesn't really matter because I'm going to be clipping the images on top, so whatever color should be fine. Now the bottom one, I'm also going to change to this purple color. I should probably use the darker one because I think it looks cool, so I'll change it to the dark purple and just click on OK. So let me save it one more time and let's start with the design. So the first one is going to be in shapes for main text, and I'm going to grab the type 2, make sure that my my font color, which is up here, is set to a nice color. So I'll go with white and click on OK. So our information is going to be flash sale. I should probably change the font. I'll be using Gotham Black as always. I don't know, but I like this font so much, and I'll place that inside here like so. So just grab the zoom tool and zoom in a little bit. Now you can see that the flash sale is actually not aligned perfectly with the information we have here. So what I'm going to do is, with the move tool active, I'm also going to hold down the control key and click on the edges. Now this part is going to come down, just trying to make it seem like it is in conformity with what I have as a shape for the rectangle, and I also move this upwards. So I think now they are looking quite aligned. So let's fit this to screen and see if it is cool. Now this is cool. This is much better. You can also just highlight and change the font size, but I think 60 points is okay. I also want to add in some form of drop shadow so that there's some form of separation between the text and the shape. So I'll go into FX again, and this time around click on drop shadow. So I think about this is okay. So opacity of 50 and size of, let's change the size to about 50 as well. And if you can see, if I toggle it off and on, this is what it looks like. Alright, and I'll just click on OK and fit this to screen. I think this is looking cool. Again, let me go ahead and just save this up. So let's add in a couple of text as well. I'll just grab the type tool one more time. So let's say up to highlight it. You can see because the font size, the font color is the same as the background color. So let's make this about 36, 30 point. Also trying to make it seem or align it just like what I have here. So this is what I'm going to be gauging with. The same procedure. So up to 90% off. But let's stretch this out a little bit. I want the 90% or 50% or whatever percent to be of a different font style or a much different color. So I think up to, yeah, that is going to be here. So let me just type it in. Let's make it 70%. Increase the font size to about 72. 72 is okay, but the font is too huge. So we are going to correct it. You know what? Once we highlight that, go into window and click on character. Now in the character options, we want to actually make this come closer or shrink it a bit, and you see that option over here. So right now it's set to 100%. Let's reduce it to about 80 so that it looks slimmer than it actually is. So I think something like this is cool. And we also have to change the orientation. So still using the move tool, I'll try to align it with the rectangle we created previously. Yeah, I think something like this is okay. Now you can see that the spacing is still not ideal, so I'll add in just a little bit more. Now this is looking awesome. Let's also change the color of this to probably a pink color, or let's just sample that same color. No, I want it to be a bit brighter than what we have. So this is looking much better. Increase the size. Now this is looking cool. So the next step, we are done with this one. So let's add in our images. I'll actually put an image on top of this. So let's quickly visit Google and find some images from here. Now I do not own these images. I'm just using them for tutorials. So shout out to whoever created this. And yeah, basically that's it. So I'll go ahead and copy it. I don't want to save it onto my computer, and I'll paste it in here using Ctrl+V, or just paste it like so. Go into edit or paste it in. Now let me zoom out and see if I can fit this to the entire screen, making sure it is covering the whole circle we just created. So something like this is looking cool. Now what I'm going to do is actually merge this on top of the circle. So right click and go to create clipping mask. So what this does is the image is only going to show where that circle is. Now this is looking cool, but I don't want it to look this way. So what I'll do is I'll go into the blend mode, which is up here, and just scroll through and see which one will look nice to me. I think soft light will look cool, so that is what I'm going with. Now we are done with the shapes for main text, but I want to add in a little bit. So with that, with this text actually highlighted, I'll just create a duplicate. So Ctrl+J, and I'll place the duplicate on top, because we can't just have a blank top here. So let's just call it fashion design. Yeah, I think it's a bit too much. Let me place this somewhere around here, or let me call it fashion store rather. That one sounds much better. Alright, so this is okay. Now we can collapse this. So I'll go into the shapes for images and place our images on top. Let's go back to Google and copy a few images. I like this one, so copy. Ctrl+V to paste. So I'll select left, paste on top. Make sure it is covering the entire ellipse. Then create a clipping mask. So right click, create clipping mask. Then I'll do the same thing for center. Let's find a good image, copy, paste, right click, create clipping mask. Now this is too huge, so I'll reduce the size of that image to about, yeah, this is looking cool. Then for the last one, right, I think this is okay. Right click, copy, paste, make sure it is covering the whole ellipse. Right click, create clipping mask. So this is what we have. This is looking cool, but these edges are looking too plain. So what we can do is we can add in a stroke. So I'll grab the any of the circles, not the layer, the circle itself, go into FX and click on stroke. So let's add in a stroke. Right now my stroke is set to 21 pixels. I'll set it to 20, set it to inside, not outside, because outside is actually going to bring them closer to each other, and I don't want that. I want them inside so they move inwards. And I'll select a color, so either this blue color or this purple color, or probably even white, but let's just go with the blue and make it a lot. I think I like the purple, probably the purple from here, and just click on OK. I like that one. So what I'm going to do is I actually want to copy this layer style and place it on this circle and that circle. So right click on the right layer or the right circle, go to copy layer style, select these two, so the center circle, hold down Control and select the left circle, and right click and go to paste layer style, and this is going to paste it on top of both of them. So basically shapes for images, we are also done with them. Let me go ahead and save one more time. Then for the shape for bottom, that is where we are going to place our last information. So you know what, let's just go with a logo. I think I have one here that I can use. Open it up in Photoshop. Now this is on a white background, so what I'll do is I'll just unlock, use the magic wand, click on the white area and just go ahead and delete it so that I have a transparent background like so. Then I'll just use my move tool, click and drag and place it in here. So let's make it smaller, probably about this big. I should probably be using Pheno Concepts instead. You know what, let's grab Pheno Concepts instead. So that's going to be here, Phenomenal Concepts, other files. Yeah, let's use this one instead. And I'll place that over here like so. I don't want to be confusing myself with these two logos. Actually, since this is a smart object, because I place it directly on the image, I can just double click and open it up. I want it to be all white, so the black parts I'm just going to delete them using the magic wand, creating a selection. I hit delete on my keyboard, delete this as well. If I go ahead and save this up close and save it up, you'll see that it's actually updated over here, but I still don't like the red. I want it to be white, so I'll double click again. With that layer selected, go into FS, click on color overlay, a color on top, make sure it is set to white and click on OK. Now I'll close this one more time and update it, and it's also updates here nicely. So let's call this Pheno Store. Of course, I'm not going to be using this font. It looks weird. There's actually a font I've been liking recently, and this is not it. I think it's called Tomato. So let me quickly search it up. Tomato, yes, Tomatoes regular, and that is what I'm going to be using. So let's zoom in a little bit and make this white color, because why not? And I actually don't like how slim it is. I wish I can change the, but I can't change the thickness. So what I can do is, with that text selected, I'll go into FX and add in a stroke, not bevel and emboss, add in a stroke, but the stroke is going to be outside so that I can get that. Very funny. So let's make it about a size of 5 and change it to the exact same color as what I have in here, which is white. So this is cool. 5 is too much, let's make it 2. I think 2 is just fine. So if you have any other information, we can just add it in here, and that's what I'm going to be doing. So in order to prevent this video from being longer than it already is, I think this is looking cool. Unfortunately, we still have a lot of white space over here, so I'm actually going to put another image on the background, and that way we can also cover it up just a little bit. So let me place it on top here and stretch it out to cover all that white portion. I'm not going to leave it as that. I'm actually going to reduce the opacity, which should be here. Now opacity, how opaque the image or the layer is. So I think about 15% is okay. And again, we still have that. So what I'm going to do is, let's add in a few text, and once I do that, I think with the level we are now, you'll be able to catch on very quickly. So I'm changing the color to this exact same color, place it at the center, create a duplicate, and place the duplicate over here, and do the exact same thing over here at the center, like so. If you want to add in some text like men's collection, you can also do that. Obviously I'll make it center align. You can't see because it's the exact same color as the background, well, almost the exact same thing. So something like this, let's make it black so that we have some form of differentiation. And I'll actually make this a bolder version, so bold, and let's reduce the size of this to about 12. Okay, now this is looking cool. So if I place this here, I can create a duplicate, place the second one here, create a duplicate, place the third one here. Then once I'm done, I can go ahead and change the information. So this can be women's collection, and this can be for, I don't know, probably kids, like so. And this is looking cool. So I'll add all of these in shapes for image. No, let me just group it up. So let's call this second info or something like that. Sorry, I like typing in caps. And I'll place this in shapes for images. So once I'm done, I can just push everything to the bottom so that it fills up that area. So basically that is it. As always, this PSD template is going to be linked below, so be sure to check it out. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to watch more of our videos, hit that subscribe button, and as always, don't forget to share with your family and friends. This is Theo from Final Concept, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.